Nissan now will be a major manufacturer of cars within the United Kingdom and a major employer for the North East. Nissan will be a major exporter of cars into Europe. Nissan products will include large amounts of local content, build engines here, and thus generate many more jobs in the components part of our industry. Nissan will establish design and development facilities so that the United Kingdom company is fully involved in the design of future models.
In '86, I was production director, so I had the fortune to have the job of showing the Prime Minister around the plant. And yeah, that was quite nice. I still got some photographs of the Prime Minister with me, and it was a big day, great day for the plant.
I remember her walking down the line that I was working on, chassis 1, and explaining a few things to her there, and I actually remember standing talking to Roy West, I think, who was fitting fuel tanks at the time. So it was a very exciting day to meet the Prime Minister all those years ago.
I remember the very early days most vividly, because I remember, I think it was about February '85, we hired the first 20 supervisors, and most of us thought we needed about 100, but we got 22, I seem to remember. And in May '85 we went to Japan.
I remember the first day in Japan when we went to a Palmer plant and seeing the size of it. It was probably about half the size of Washington actually at the time, and I just couldn't take it all in how big the place was. Literally take you about a day and a half to walk around it. And previous companies I'd worked for, which I thought were big, were probably about the size of trim and chassis here, so no, there's just no way anybody green to the industry can understand the scale of them.
For Job 1 in '86, obviously a lot of preparatory work had gone in, the plant had been built, trial productions had been completed, culminating in the first Bluebird rolling off. The famous photographs of that car are still around the plant now. And it was just a fantastic achievement by everybody there. It was only 2 years. The plant had been built, all the equipment and facilities had been installed, and we were actually in production. It was a fantastic achievement, and one that we can all be very proud of, I think.
Yeah, to go to an area that had never built cars, and to start making cars to that level of quality was something. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and I really enjoyed it.
はい、私は何時間もかけてチェックしました、私自身で1号車を。で1号車ができました時にささやかな記念パーティーをやろうということで、私の給料の中からお金を出して英人数人と日本から行っている従業員並びに家族全員を自宅に招待をいたしまして、近所の人たちも呼んでささやかな懇親パーティーを開きました。その時にイギリス人から言われましたのは、日本人はゴムのようなものを食べるという質問が出てきましてですね、それは何だって言ったらこんにゃくなんです。こんにゃくのことをゴムだと表現しておりました。
The expansion of the plant developed in phases. Phase 1 was a small operation with a temporary body facility known as a Liger line, which many of the guys back in Sunderland today will remember very clearly. A small paint shop and a vehicle assembly building. That was about it, 24,000 units a year.
I guess for me, my most standout early memory wasn't so much the GP, the first Bluebird that we built. It was all the stuff surrounding the first Primera launch that we did in 1990, because in truth much more of that was our car and we'd had to do a lot of it independently of Japan.
What happened in Sunderland was that we were continuously winning models, and the plant was developing, it was growing. That's down to the people. Their mentality, their attitude of can do made a huge difference, and Japan knew that all the time, and that's still true today.
イギリス人のですね、愛社精神の強いのには驚きました。私自身、日本人ほど愛社精神の強いものはないだろうと思っていたらば、それを上回る愛社精神の強さには驚きました。そういう 考え方を取る基本は何だろうと言って思いまして、私なりに質問をしましたら、生活の基盤を置く企業を愛するのは当然だという返事が返ってきました。
I also think there's a northeast factor. I'm not quite sure what it is in the northeast because I wasn't born there, but I lived there a while when I was working at NMUK. There seems to be this resilience to problems. You've got a problem, you face up to it, and if someone punches you, you punch them back harder type attitude, which is kind of like an endurance or a resilience to problems, which I've never experienced in any other part of the country, actually, nowhere.
I think the reason why we have been able to be successful is because we've always been willing to learn, and we've always had people who are clever, capable of learning, work hard and are committed. And if you put that lot together, there's not a lot that you can't do. We've never been too proud to go somewhere and learn from them. We've always wanted to go to Japan and learn, but we also go to the other overseas plants and see what ideas we can pick up off them. So our one is we're a learning plant, I think. The other one is we are very competitive. As individuals and as a plant, we don't like being second.
I look around and read all the time now about Nissan being the biggest car maker in the UK, and those that had the foresight to see that in the mid-80s were very few indeed.
So to think that we would ever be as big as that when we were actually planning to make 12.5 cars an hour, when we're currently making 60 cars an hour almost on line 1 and almost 50 on line 2, it's quite phenomenal.
In 1999, soon after I became MD of NMUK, the alliance was signed, the Renault-Nissan alliance. Now that brought huge changes to the company. Carlos Ghosn was sent into Nissan as the chief executive of the global operation. We all knew in our plants all over the world what we had to do, but the challenge was to respond to what became the Nissan Revival Plan, know your place in that plan and make sure that the plant delivered.
So to me, the challenges for plant manager is how to make sure that we're building the cars today at the right level of quality and the right cost, and always looking to the future in terms of how can we improve ourselves to win the next ones, because it is a competition. I know people get sick of hearing about it, but it is. And you've got a car that lasts you 5 years, and not once you've won it, you've got 5 years' work. There's not many companies in the northeast of England can say, well, I've got 5 years' work laid out in front of us, which we can. So the downside of that is if you don't win a car, what do? So it's not a very good prospect not winning a car, so you've got to do everything you can to win it. And to me, that's the thrill of the job, but the hardest bit of the job as well.
I also remember my first November as MD, November the 13th, it was a Friday. It was decided in Japan that there's no Primera or Almira replacement because we're losing so much money on the cars. And that was a bit scary. And I remember Carlos going announcing that if the UK didn't join the Euro, we probably wouldn't invest anymore. So, yeah, I didn't get the honeymoon part of the as MD. The other two got the honeymoon. I think Trevor got a bit of both, but I think most of mine was pretty miserable, actually.
成功させるために来たんだということを従業員には周知徹底いたしました。失敗するためだったらこんなところに出てこないと。だから常に成功と、それだけしか頭にはありませんでした。いくつかのいろんなことを検討する場合にいくつかの案が出てきましても、必ずどれが一番成功につながりやすい案かということを自分で判断して、じゃあこれをせようと、そういう決定の仕方をいたしました。
Almost 27 years since I joined Nissan, and is in that time, it's never been other than a success what people at Sunderland have done. I mean, some years harder than others because that's life. The recessions of the early 90s and the tough period we're in now. But the business has always set itself, the people have always set themselves really tough targets, and then they've gone and delivered them. And I love watching you all keep doing that. It's fantastic. And I read the news and I follow it. And I'm ever so pleased for you all. I think you're fantastic, all of you.
If Mr. Gorn had told me back in '98 that we're producing electric cars, I wouldn't have believed him, frankly.
I think everybody who works here should be proud of what we've built. I think not just for us as individuals, but it does give us the job security that gives us a kind of stability in our life that other people don't enjoy.
It's easy to say, oh, you know, we're so successful, we're making over 400,000 cars a year, we've got a successful product. And we've got all of that for a reason. That's because we've worked hard for it and we deserve them. And we need to continue to keep doing those things and make sure that we deserve the next new models.
We did what this particular group of people seemed to be capable of doing. We just adapted to the circumstances. This group of people were a very special group. Whatever's thrown at them, economic cycles, the Lehman shock in 2008, Renault taking 44% of our shares, the British government not joining the euro, strong pounds, whatever it is, seemed to make the appropriate countermeasure to stick around, and long may it continue.
The other thing I think, you know, as somebody who's from the North East, I think it's important that this place continues to be successful, because I don't understand or can't contemplate what the North East would look like without a successful Nissan. I think it would be a much worse place to live than what it currently is, and I think that's something that is a responsibility on the plant, that, you know, we are important in the region, we're all North Easterners, and we've got to keep this plant moving forward.
Congratulations on 25th anniversary. Challenging to your future.